Let me go ahead and keep it all the way a buck with you. MLA, APA formatting rules, those aren't suggestions. They're actually required. So if you're walking around here with an academic essay or research paper that looks like it's been carved with a red pen, your teacher is basically saying try again and is low-key judging you. September 1997, Cullowhee, North Carolina. On the campus of Western Carolina University, I was enrolled in Composition 200. Not typical for a college freshman, mind you. I had just finished my first college essay. As I did my best Tyra Banks model walk to the English building, I slid it under my professor's door confidently and on time, baby. And as I walked back to my dorm at about 2 a.m., I was proud and I envisioned and imagined the amazing conversation the professor and I would have when we sat down to discuss my amazingly written essay. She would tell me that I was an amazing writer and that my paper was flawless, and I would see on the top of that paper a big red A. Yeah, that's not what happened at all. Did she say I was an amazing writer? Of course she did. She said I had a great thesis statement, that I supported it with points, good textual evidence, and explanation, but that my understanding and application of the MLA formatting rules that she had spent 2 weeks prior teaching me, I had completely forgotten, which was evident by the big red D on top of my paper. So, as we were wrapping up our one on one, she asked me a simple question: do you play Go F.I.S.H? And I said, I used to. She said, well, before you submit, play a good game of Go F.I.S.H. And it's a lesson I've applied to every essay since. And after today, so will you. Welcome to another episode of the Geek Breakdown. In case you didn't know, my name is Nicole, aka Natty Geek 78, and here at the Geek Breakdown, we break down all things education and academic from A to Z. How to align your margins perfectly to 0% chance your teacher doesn't know you use ChatGPT on that last essay. On today's Geek Breakdown, we're talking about all things MLA, the origins of MLA, how it got started, all those things, the benefits and importance of using proper MLA formatting. Third, I'm going to talk about the Go F.I.S.H method, the method my college professor taught me how to properly format all my essays. And lastly, I'm going to talk about the 5 common mistakes I used to make on my essays and how you can avoid them on yours. As always, links are in the description box below. And without any further ado, let's go ahead and break down MLA so that it will
forever and consistently be broke. Okay.
Oh. Break it down for those who don't quite understand what I'm talking about. Break it down for me.
What is MLA? Well, MLA is an organization that sets standards for academic writing in English and other languages. Now, while MLA is the standard, there are other formatting styles like APA as well as Chicago. Now, the purpose of MLA and these other styles is to provide guidelines for formatting papers as well as citing sources. MLA has been around since 1883, and it is the standard when it comes to academic writing in order to make it more clear, concise, consistent across all papers. Now, what are some benefits of MLA? First, it's going to help you establish clear communication between you, the writer, and the audience, aka the reader of your essay. So it uses that standardized format so that it makes it easier for anybody to read and understand the flow of your writing. It's going to promote academic integrity. MLA is going to make sure that you properly give credit to all of the sources that you use in your paper. Knowing MLA is going to demonstrate a level of professionalism and provide that extra attention to detail that can be beneficial in your future academic and professional endeavors. And lastly, the most important benefit of MLA is it's going to avoid any plagiarism accusations.
Break it down for those who don't quite understand what I'm talking about. Break it down.
Do you remember the advice my English professor shared with me? Before you submit, always go fish. FISH actually stands for 4 key MLA formatting rules. We're talking about your font, your indent, your spacing, and your heading. F stands for font and has 3 basic rules. Rule number 1, font type. It must be clear and readable. So you're looking at Times New Roman as the overall standard. While you can use Arial or Calibri, most professors are used to Times New Roman, so just stick with Times New Roman. Rule number 2, font size must also be clear and readable. Typically, the standard, according to MLA, is between 11 and 13, so stick in the middle and stick it with 12 permanently. Lastly, rule number 3, MLA formatting calls for no bolds, no italics, or no underlines unless you are italicizing a major work. I is for indent. You always want to indent every single paragraph. You also want to make sure that your margins are in their right space. So you want to make sure you have 1-inch margins. Now, this is automatically done in all word processing programs like Google Doc and Microsoft Word. Lastly, you want to make sure that your title is always centered and that when you get ready to actually type the body of your essay, you move the cursor back to the left. S stands for spacing. The standard for MLA as well as APA is double spacing. However, you want to make sure that after you put your date for your essay, you always want to make sure that you hit enter twice between the date and the title of your essay. Once you input your title, which is in the center of your essay, you want to make sure that you hit 1 space after the title. So 2 spaces after the date and 1 space after the title, which brings me to the last letter H, which stands for heading. Now, heading has 2 parts. You have the actual page heading, which has 4 key areas. First part is you want to have your name, first and last. If you want to include the middle initial, you can. Secondly, you want to have the teacher's name. Make sure that you identify and ask exactly how the professor or the teacher wants to be identified and named on the actual paper. Third, you have the course name. Make sure it is properly capitalized and using all appropriate abbreviations as well as Roman numerals. Lastly, you have the date. Now, the date is inverted, meaning the day comes first, the month is in the middle, which is always spelled out, and you have the 4-digit year. There are never, ever, 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 ever any punctuation marks in the date, and you always spell out every single month. So it's the date first, the month in the middle, and then the 4-digit year. And remember, once you finish inputting the date, you want to hit enter twice before you type the title. The second part of H is the page header, which is always going to be in the upper right-hand corner of your paper. Now, the page header has 2 parts. It has your last name and the page number. Google Docs and Microsoft Word have a great way that you can input the header.
Break it down for those who don't quite understand what I'm talking about. Break it down.
Now that we've gone over Go F.I.S.H, let's talk about those 5 common MLA mistakes and some tricks for how to avoid them. Mistake number 1, always check your header. The key mistake that most writers make here that I used to make is I always forgot to change the font. So always make sure that you change the font in your header to Times New Roman and the size to 12. A key way I remember it is I make sure that my last name is on every single page, just in case the teacher was to, for some reason, drop all the papers and get them mixed up. Mistake number 2, invert the date. Remember, the day goes first, the month is always in the middle. You spell out the month, so no abbreviations whatsoever in the date. And lastly, for the date, there is never any punctuation. That's how you know if you have Feb instead of February, you know that you're wrong. You also know if you have a comma after February, that is wrong too. I know that's how you learned in elementary school, but for academic formal essays, the date is always inverted. Mistake number 3, forgetting to uncenter after you write your title. You've written your essay. It's a beautiful essay. Now comes the title, and you have an amazing title. You type it. You even make sure that it's capitalized correctly. But when you go to hit enter after typing your title, you forget to change your margins back to the left and you to start typing. So your entire 3-4 page essay is now centered instead of being to the left. That's a big mistake. After the title, move to the left. Center the title, move to the left. Center the title, move back to the left. That's how I remembered to always make sure that I moved my cursor and my margins back to the left after I typed my title. The 4th one should be a simple, easy one to remember, but a lot of writers commit this. They always forget to indent the paragraphs. You always want to make sure that you indent that paragraph. You never want to make sure that it's to the left. Always indent your paragraph. And the 5th common mistake is do a grammar check on your works cited page. Now, with the creation of AI and citation tool makers, a lot of times you can just simply copy and paste the website or the source's URL into the citation maker and it will take care of the rest. But guess what? The code writers for these web pages and websites don't really care or have time to make sure that their titles are properly capitalized. However, your professors care about proper capitalization. So you want to make sure that before you hit submit, check the grammar on your works cited page. Make sure your titles are properly formatted the way they're supposed to be, and also make sure that they are following the proper rules of capitalization. So remember, citation makers don't know everything. ChatGPT doesn't know everything. However, you know the basic grammar rules. You know the rules of capitalization. So make sure that before you submit, Go F.I.S.H and check your works cited for grammar.
Break it down for those who don't quite understand what I'm talking about. Break it down for me.
Oh, hold up. Let me break it down so it can forever and consistently be broke. Okay. Oh. All right.
So there are probably a couple of questions running through your mind. Question 1, are my essays about to have an amazing makeover? The answer is yes. Second question, well, after Go F.I.S.H, what's next? I'll go ahead and clue you in with just 2 words, tunk and spades. I post a video every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. But in the meantime, go ahead and hit the subscribe and bell notification, and be sure to check out all my previous Geek Breakdown videos right here. And as always, see you next time.